I'm Debby Shoctor and the archivist for the Jewish Archives and Historical Society of Edmonton in Northern Alberta. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the fabulous history of the Edmonton Talmud Torah on its 100th anniversary. It's the first Jewish day school in Canada. It all began with the founding of the Edmonton Hebrew Association, now known as the Beth Israel Synagogue, which was formed on August 12, 1906, providing Edmonton's small but burgeoning Jewish community with the institutions and personnel necessary for a traditional Jewish way of life, in the middle of the so-called Wild West. Alberta had only become a province the year before. In 1911, the Beth Israel Synagogue, Edmonton's first, began construction on a lot donated by William Boss Diamond. He was Edmonton's second Jewish resident after Abraham Crystal. He came from Vilna, Lithuania, to join his brother Jacob, Alberta's first Jewish resident, in Calgary in 1892. The Talmud Torah School was started in December 1912 in the new synagogue building on 95th Street and Roland Road. They began after-school religious classes in the basement with the first principal, Aaron Wershoff, a Lithuanian-born graduate of Slobodka Yeshiva. TT grew fast. By 1915, there were 52 children enrolled in afternoon classes. In the early 1920s, Eli Gorlick and Baruch Katnelson, two Hebraists, were recruited to the teaching staff. In 1923, Leo Pekarski, a young man from Poland, arrived in town and was hired to teach at the school while he finished his education in the University of Alberta. In 1925, the school was crowded and the community wanted it to become a full-time day school, so construction began on a building at 103rd Street south of Jasper Avenue. The school opened in 1927 and graduated its first class of 5 students in 1928, under the directorship of Moshe Goldman. He and his wife Kayla taught at the school for 28 years. A Mother's Auxiliary was formed in 1927. This group would organize the school lunch and taxi program, collect tuition fees, provide supplies and equipment, and raise funds aided by Hadassah and the National Council of Jewish Women. Where would the school have been without these tireless volunteers and those who funded its construction? They included people like Jacob and Nina Baltzan and the H.A. Friedmans, among many others. In 1933, Talmud Torah began Hebrew Day School for grades 1 and 2, the first Hebrew day school in Canada. From the 1930s onwards, the programs at Talmud Torah were supported by the fundraising efforts of the Magen David Bridge Club, a group of mothers, grandmothers, and others who contributed their weekly winnings to supporting the school's programs. The half-day English curriculum at Talmud Torah followed provincial standards, while the Hebrew curriculum freed students from after-school cheder classes. After Mr. Goldman left for Israel in 1954, Leo Pekarski took over as principal. He had persuaded Moshe Yedlin and his wife Tova to come to Edmonton in 1951. An earnest and scholarly teacher, Yedlin held a degree in history and philosophy from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, served in the Haganah, and had taught in Montreal and Regina before coming to Edmonton. He continued to teach Hebrew as well as Jewish history and culture for 3 decades. The growth continued, and in 1953, a larger building opened at 133rd Street and 106th Avenue to accommodate the post-war baby boomer children who now swelled the community. It expanded in 1957 and again in 1963, giving the building a second wing and a gymnasium. The Mother's Auxiliary continued to run the first and only kosher lunch program in Canada, as it had since 1933. Jack Chetner, a graduate of the Calgary Talmud Torah, served as principal during these years, the first Canadian-born principal of a Hebrew day school in Canada. The Talmud Torah Home and School Association was established in January 1954, with Clara Mintz as founding president. In 1975, board president Howard Starkman led Talmud Torah into a partnership with Edmonton Public Schools, whereby EPS would fund and staff the secular curriculum of the school and Talmud Torah the religious curriculum. In the early 1990s, the school curriculum was expanded to include junior high and a preschool was started. In 1999, Talmud Torah again moved to its new building on 172nd Street in the west end of Edmonton. Israeli President Shimon Peres officially opened the new building. Edmonton Talmud Torah is a school of many firsts. We can all look proudly at the 100-year history of accomplishments of this school. Here's to another 100. If you'd like to learn more about Talmud Torah, please contact the Jewish Archives at the JCC or come to the 100th anniversary celebrations. See you there.